You've probably heard the term affordable housing thrown around a lot, right? But what does it actually mean? It's not just a simple price tag. It's more like a puzzle, where all the pieces, your income, where you live, even your job, have to fit together perfectly. So today, let's try and put this puzzle together.
So, let's start with the most basic question of all. When we say a home is affordable, what are we actually talking about? The answer might not be what you think.
Okay, so here's the core idea. Affordability isn't a fixed number. It's a ratio. A really common benchmark is that an affordable home should cost somewhere around 4 to 5 times a family's total annual income. This simple formula is actually the key to unlocking this entire conversation.
All right, so now that we have the formula, let's dive into Section 1 and see how this calculation actually works in the real world. And this is a really crucial point. Affordable means something completely different to everyone. It's not a static thing. It's a dynamic variable that changes based on who you are and where you are. It's a deeply personal calculation.
It really all boils down to 3 main things. First, your geographic location. I mean, it's obvious, right? A house in a big city costs way more than one in a smaller town. Second, your economic segment. What's affordable for a high-income family is just a dream for someone else. And finally, urbanization and demand. As more and more people flock to cities, prices just, well, they skyrocket.
Okay, let's make this super concrete. Let's imagine a family, and their combined income for the whole year is 6 lakh rupees. So what does affordable look like for them?
So we take their income, and we use that multiplier we just talked about, that 4 to 5 times rule.
And you do the math, and that gives us a target price range of about 24 to 30 lakh rupees. Seems pretty straightforward on paper, doesn't it? But this is where things get really complicated. And this is where that location factor becomes absolutely critical. For that exact same family with that exact same budget, finding a home in that 24 to 30 lakh range in a major metro city, it's nearly impossible. But in a non-metro city, it's a real possibility. We're talking about the same family, the same money, but completely different outcomes. It's wild.
Now, given this massive challenge, it's no surprise that the government and financial institutions have tried to step in and bridge this gap. So, what kind of help is actually out there?
Well, one of the key tools is something called Priority Sector Lending, or PSL for short. Basically, this is a rule from the Reserve Bank of India that tells banks, hey, you need to lend a certain amount of your money to these specific important sectors. And lucky for us, affordable housing is one of them. The whole point is to help lower and middle-income folks get a foot on that property ladder.
Let's look at the actual numbers here. Under this PSL policy, if you're in a metro city, you can get a home loan up to 35 lakhs, as long as the property itself is valued at 45 lakhs or less. Move outside the metro areas, and that changes to a 25 lakh loan for a property worth up to 30 lakhs. So you can see how the policy is trying to adapt to the reality of these different housing markets.
But, and this is a big but, even with policies like PSL in place, this problem is far from solved. There are still some major, persistent hurdles that people have to overcome.
The crazy thing is, this affordability gap exists everywhere, but the reasons can be totally different. In the big metro cities, you've got this intense demand, tons of people moving in, and there just isn't enough housing, or it's priced into the stratosphere. But in smaller cities, the problem is often a mismatch. The local incomes just haven't kept up with housing costs, so even with lower prices, it's still a huge challenge.
So get this, even when a house exists at the right price, and the loan programs are technically available, families can still find themselves completely locked out. The real barriers to owning a home, they run much, much deeper.
And here are 3 of the biggest roadblocks. First up, just getting the loan. We have millions of workers in the informal sector. Think daily wage earners, small street vendors. Their income is irregular, it's in cash, and traditional banks just don't know how to deal with that. Second, even if you do get a loan, the interest rates can be so high or the repayment period so short that the monthly payments become impossible. And finally, you have regulatory barriers that can sometimes make it harder to get financing in the very rural or informal areas that need it the most.
So, where does all of this leave us? What's the path forward? Let's wrap things up in our final section.
Ultimately, when you step back and look at the whole picture, it becomes crystal clear that solving the affordable housing puzzle isn't just about building more houses or creating new loan policies. It's a much, much broader challenge. It's about improving access to financing, it's about boosting people's incomes, and it's about creating real economic opportunity for everyone.
And that leads us to our final thought. If the traditional approaches, the policies, the market forces, if they aren't closing this gap on their own, what's next? What kind of innovative, creative, maybe even radical thinking do we need to finally make a safe and affordable home a reality for all? It's a huge question, and it's one we all really need to be thinking about.